Oh, it's so frustrating and difficult to know exactly and precisely how to feel about Chelsea 2, Arsenal 3 in the first leg of the semi-final of the EFL Cup. An incredibly weakened Chelsea side against Premier League and Champions League leaders in Arsenal, who seemingly just rotated the goalkeeper in Kepa Arrizabalaga and pretty much played a super strength side, really. Comparatively, I was really concerned when I saw the lineup. And to be honest, both goalkeepers were pretty bad. You know, at least with they've got an excuse with it is their second choice in Kepa, of course, a player we know really well. But Rob Sanchez, for me, having a very bad game in a game that we needed him to play well. But yeah, Liam Rosenior's first home game ends in a loss against Arsenal, a spirited comeback. One of his substitutes getting a brace in Alejandro Garnacho, which keeps the tie alive, and it means, 5 starters for me that are out in this game: Reece James, Malo Gusto, Moises Caicedo, Cole Palmer, and Liam Delap, who's probably our first choice centre forward at the moment. Five out, and then you also have players like Jamie Gittins who are also out as options as well. And of course, we've got the likes of Romeo Lavia, who's a really great player that could help us, unavailable as well. So, seriously hamstrung Liam Rosinia, and still we saw a spirited comeback. To come back twice from 2 goals down both times is, 2-0 and then 3-1 is pretty good. And it makes me think, you know what, when the second leg comes around, when we have a full strength team, when Liam Rosinia has actually had some time to work with these players, yes, we'll be a goal down and we'll be at their gaff. But the truth is, I think Arsenal are a much better and more, seasoned team than us at the moment. And at that point, because they're fighting for Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues, I wonder what the games around that second leg will be, and how much they will put into it. And I'll tell you what, you put the farm on Chelsea being a lot stronger than this game. Not just because Absentees and those 6 important players that I've listed are absent. Liam would have had some time to work with these players. And the goals were so soft. We'll speak about it. Guys, welcome back to Football Therapy. Thank you as always for joining me. I'm very grateful to have you guys hang out with me. So if you do want to show some support, you're welcome to. Just simply drop a like and subscribe on YouTube. If you're yet to do so, hit the bell if you choose to. And of course, on all podcast platforms, you search Football Therapy Podcast, most notably Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And you can watch the video on Spotify for those of you who want to use that app. So if you are on that, please do give me a follow and drop a 5-star rating. It does help me out on the podcast apps. Let's get into it. Right, so let's speak about the absentees very quickly. Let's talk about that. So, Mudryk suspended. Cole, we know. Lavia, we know. So, Moises Caicedo was suspended, of course, for the yellow card, which is frustrating, but we knew that. We were hoping we would get a midfield of Reece James and Santos and have Malo Gusto at right back, and do you know what I mean? And then all that sort of stuff. Cole Palmer didn't pass a fitness test, and neither did Malo Gusto. They'll be ready for Brentford. Hopefully. Reece James also got a knock, and they didn't want to risk it with him. So, I mean, and also Jamie Gittins and Liam Delap got like an illness today. Like, everyone's sick in the UK at the moment. You guys know I've been moaning about it. So Gittins and Delap have got that as well. And Gittins had a good, really impressive half on the right-hand side. I know midweek against weaker opposition, but, he's a player, a very expensive player that's played over 100 games in top 5 leagues and, won man of the match awards in the Champions League for both Chelsea and Dortmund. A key player, all unavailable. That's 6. Is that 6? Yeah, 6 key players unavailable for this game. So I saw that he's had literally a few days to work with the team. So it's always tough to judge. Do you know what I mean? It's such a weird one to pick the bones out of, because obviously conceding 3 goals at home to Arsenal as Chelsea, and we must never let these standards drop, it's still Chelsea. We beat Arsenal. That's what we in the 2015 season. The nadir of the Abramovich era, at least, when we finished mid-table when Jose got sacked. We still did the double over Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? So yes, we've got to hold high standards, and that's tough. But then, let's share the screen now for those on video on Spotify and YouTube. This is the lineup we went out with. Rob Sanchez, who's supposed to be, solid. He and Kepa Arrizabalaga got the lowest ratings on the pitch at 5.9. And actually, Kepa was booked, which would have nerfed his. So without his booking, he would have actually had a higher rating than Rob. Rob would have been the lowest ranked player on the pitch. A backline of Trev Chalobah and Wes Fofana, which is fine. Cucurella, which is fine and good. He generally does well against Bukayo Saka. But because we've got no Reece James, but because we've got no Malo Gusto, Josh Chiampong has to play right back. And of course we know no Reece James, so therefore we've got only Fernandez and Santos to play in the pivot, which is fine again. Joao Pedro in the 10, flanked by Neto and Esteva, which is, I know we want Cole Palmer to be available. Ultimately, you want Gittins as an option, but that's quality on the wings there. And then poor old Mark Yu, only recently turned 20. You'd be like, right, off you go, mate, against the best defence in the league, Gabriel and Saliba. I know he's a he straight away was trying to stick one on Gabriel, and Gabriel was basically not bullying him because Yu's a tough lad, but it was a little bit like, oh god, I've got to do this by myself. And of course, if you look at the Arsenal team, look at that team. You could maybe say Uran Timber, they'd rather have Calafiori there or something. But ultimately, that is a very strong Arsenal team. It's just really Raya out for Kepa. And for some reason, guys, I have a feeling that Raya will be in for the second leg. Who knows? Maybe Jorgensen will be in for the second leg, considering how Jorgensen's played the last two games and how Rob played here. So there we go. Substitute appearances. We saw Kai Havertz. He got a lot of boos. Jesus Marino, who always plays well against us. He got a good rating off the bench despite getting booked. Gabriel Martinelli, who throws players around who are severely injured. Of course, Chelsea had all 5 subs used. Look at our bench compared to theirs, man. Tyreek George, who, wasn't used. I'm unsurprised. He hasn't been in the last 5 matchday squads because I think he's about to be sold. So he's literally here to be a body on the bench. Buonanotte, Asugo, of course, Jorgensen. Shim, the young 17-year-old centre-forward who's obviously ripping it up at under 21 level. But, and I'm glad he got his chance. And he got minutes. This will all be good for him. Shim could be a huge player for Chelsea. But, this Tosin, Hato, who, again, has got a high rating off the bench and could be a great player for us. He's a teenager. He's not really played well for Chelsea yet. Benoit Badiashile off the bench, who's been stinking out the gaff recently. And then, obviously, Garnacho, who we all had a sigh of sadness when we saw Garnacho and Badiashile coming on at 2-0 down as game changers. But little did we know Garnacho would be a game changer, and here on SofaScore, he's been given player of the match. My cat's at the door, but I'm not going to let her in because she's full of zoomies and she will distract me. So, Garnacho comes on and scores 2 sort of back post finishes, quite nice, and keeps us in the tie. And like I say, it's a bit of an existential, how do I feel about this result? Because it sucks shipping 3 goals to Arsenal at home, especially 2 of them are really soft. Dare I say, all of them are soft, actually. And we can go through that. Hold on one second. Right, so we suppose we should go through the timeline and stats and stuff like this. Let's do it in halves. We had the majority of possession, which is nice. In the first half, we had 55% possession. Didn't create any big chances. Had 4 shots to their 6. I think we might have had more shots on target despite going a goal down. The second half, we created 1 big chance to their 2. One of these goals, and again we had the most amount of the ball as well. To take you through the timeline, let's do that on the left-hand side of your screen. So, in the so early to concede as well. In the 7th minute, off a corner, Liam Rosenior speaking in the pre-match press conference saying, I don't think they're set-piece FC. And I said this on my Instagram, and I'll say it again. If you're taking the mick out of Arsenal for scoring corners, you need to give your head a wobble, mate, because I would love for to be in that position, to be scoring loads of corners, and people say, "Oh, they just score corners." You know, it's a goal, mate. I would happily win the Premier League with Chelsea only scoring own goals and penalties. Do you know what I mean? I don't care. Wins and trophies, mate. Do you know what I mean? It's funny. Obviously, I prefer my team to knock it about on the deck and score nice goals, combinational goals and stuff, and like nice, movements and stuff. But a goal is a goal. Arsenal fans rightly celebrate the goal. Now, this is my first criticism of Rob Sanchez. Feel free to disagree with me, but I think his positioning is poor. I don't think there's this offside question, the Man City thing yesterday in this. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank says he reckons it's onside, so I'm taking his word for it on the halftime analysis on Sky Sports. But I think it's disappointing from Rob Sanchez's point of view, because he's been rightly praised for how he's commanded the box and how he's claimed crosses and corners all the time, and he's sort of in no man's land there, goes for a bit of a coffee and flaps one hand at it, and it's disappointing. And then obviously it's soft from the goalkeeper's positioning, but also Ben White, free as an effing bird, can't believe his luck, and just finishes in the 7th minute, and we go behind. And how are we going to react? Well, we react quite well from the 7th minute to halftime, and this sounds so lame, but this is what I did, a halftime live stream on Instagram. A lot of people talking about how we were, the better team in the first half in open play. Yep, I said it. But we looked good, basically, and despite conceding a soft corner, that was a nice. We're like, all right, well, we're still in this. The only problem is they've got better players on the pitch than us, and they've got a way stronger bench. But yeah, so that was tough, basically. And then Victor Gyökeres in the 49th minute. Now, I'm fuming about this because on said halftime Instagram live, I even caveated it saying, I don't want to say this in case I jinx it. I said that, but then I followed it up with, but Victor Gyökeres is, insert swear word. I was heavily critiquing him because he's so slow. That header, he glanced nowhere. He looks like a pub team striker at times. And to be honest, obviously I cursed it and he scored at the beginning of the second half. But it's all 100% on Robert Sanchez, because the ball, which wasn't whipped that hard across the face of goal, goes through both his hands. Both his hands. Now, sure, someone's got to pick up Gyökeres at the back post, but when you see your goalkeeper like that, you're like, well, obviously he's just going to grab this. It goes through his hands, but his hands are lathered in grease and butter. Yeah, it goes through his hands. I don't want to, go too hard, but I think it was a pretty disgraceful display of goalkeeping. And it goes straight through his hands, and at this point you think, it's going to get ugly. If Rob Sanchez is just going to let balls go through his hand like that, we might do some fun attacking stuff in open play, and, you think, oh, maybe they're spirited, but then you do these soft goals that completely undermines what you are doing well in open play. And then, again, this is not like the three-peat winning Real Madrid team. This is not the golden era Galactico Chelsea team where the dressing room ran the club and they've got strong characters. These are kids that are hopefully going to grow into better players. So in adversity, they need to learn how to deal with adversity. And, I was concerned. And then we make, of course, the changes. Gu and Joshua Chiampong come off. Benoit Badiashile comes on, so we get another left footer on, though, Benoit's not been great. And Garnacho comes on. Of course, he's scored a few goals for Chelsea at a couple of moments, but no one's thinking, all right, now we're sorted. It's not like, remember when Antonio Conte brought Eden Hazard and Diego Costa off the bench against Tottenham in the Cup? Do you remember that? And then we just absolutely turned the screw. It is Garnacho, who, to be very kind, is yet to completely convince Chelsea fans. Before, these 2 goals will certainly help, but that's the position he's in. And Badiashile, like a pretty maligned centre-back who a lot of Chelsea fans wouldn't have a problem with selling. So you're 2-0 down and these guys come on, which is tough. It's a tough gig, yeah? But of course, Pedro Neto, who's had his moments, he's also had a lot of criticism of late, Pedro Neto, but in the first half on the left, he made that amazing run where he did this sort of pass and chase down the flank and got behind his man and looked really good and dynamic and explosive, yeah. And he has his moments, Pedro Neto, and he will end the season, Neto, with a lot of goal involvements. He was really important in the Club World Cup. He has really bad games sometimes in the final third, but he will finish this campaign with a lot of goals and assists for a winger, considering he's been playing both sides and sometimes down the middle or whatever. So he assists Garnacho, which is a great finish. He basically waits for the ball to fall for him. He's sort of near far post, a little bit deeper, finishes nicely. And we're back in the game. It's 57 minutes, 2-1. And you think, right, anything can happen. We go and equalise, maybe win. And then if we win this game with this team, then, we just need a draw with a better team when we go to the Emirates. So I'm feeling not confident, but I'm feeling hopeful until Gyökeres, who's already got his goal assisted by, Robert Sanchez. He assists Zubimendi. Assists. I mean, it's nothing to do with Gyökeres here. The Zubimendi, I don't want to praise him. Fine, he finishes it well. But the way he just... I don't want to say he sits people down. People sit down for him. You give him so much space. And look, the first goal, I criticised Sanchez positioning. You feel free to, contest that with me. The second goal, I'm freaking... Sanchez is taking all the blame, wanted posters. And the third goal, you can blame Fofana, whoever else was there on the all the defenders that freaking Zubimendi sambered past, because no one should be affording him that opportunity for a central defensive midfielder to take a shot like that. It wasn't like he just howitzed it in and it went off in a deflection. They were like, oh, no, take your time. Hold on, shape your body right. No, we're not going to, come on, you want a bit more space? Come to the side, right? Now take your shot. That's what that was. Which, in the words of the opposition manager, Mikel Arteta, disgracia. So we're 3-1 down. Arsenal fans start singing Que Sera, Sera. It's horrendous scenes. I feel sick. I feel like, oh my God, what if we lose 4 or 5-1? And to be fair, Rob Sanchez does make one good save to prevent it from going from 4-1, which of course is an important moment. And it's a sickener. I'm feeling sick at this point, and I'm thinking, I was thinking, look, if this was another team, just like if this was in the Champions League and it was like a Bayern Munich and it's Rosinia's first home game and that, but you just don't want Arsenal to beat you 4 or 5-1. We lost. When did we lose 5-0? Was that under Maresca? No, or Pochettino? I think it was Pochettino. We lost 5-0 to Arsenal and Havertz scored 2 or whatever. Yucky. Yeah, you don't want that. I nearly swore. Don't want that stuff. So we're 3-1 down at the 71st minute, and Hato comes on. And by the way, Hato, talking about game changers, he was lucky that was an offside because he conceded what would have been a stonewall penalty late doors. Kepa gets booked for time wasting. So you go, Hato comes on the 75th minute, or where are we? You can see, yeah. Kepa gets booked for time wasting. Marino gets booked for a foul, which definitely was. He tackled from behind. And we make the final 2 changes. Taking off... I know Joao Pedro is getting a lot of stick. I've criticised him heavily, but, he can have moments. There was a moment when he took a shot and it actually became an amazing cutback across goal, but no one went for it, probably because they all knew he was taking a shot. Shim comes on. I love how Shim gets a chance, and, I would have done anything for a Shim equaliser. That would have been feeling good. I know it's a draw at home to Arsenal, but that would have been, for me, considering all things considered, the absentees and the lack of time with the new coach, I would have sort of taken it as a positive result because of the context. Uncle Tosin comes on. I know he scored a goal midweek, but, Anyway, Kai Havertz comes on next Chelsea in the 82nd minute. Gabriel Jesus comes on for Gyökeres. And Garnacho in the 83rd scores another goal. And it's again, sort of volley, half volley. They're both really good finishes from the same kind of zone. And it's the 83rd minute. And I have hope again. Because, plus the 5 minutes stoppage time, that's 12 minutes. Simple math. And, and I was thinking, at that point, 2 things I'd love here. One of 2 things, yeah. A Garnacho hat-trick, because that would be really funny. Because, Arsenal are like, how do we let Garnacho score a hat-trick against us? or a Shim, equaliser, because I would just think it would be great for him. He's having such a good season, that above age level that he is, to have that moment against Arsenal would have been incredible. But I would have taken any goal. Like I said, own goal, penalty, friggin' whatever. I would have taken it. And the game ends, we see it out, basically. And it's kind of bleh. We were in open play, we were competitive. Rob Sanchez has blood on his hands, but I'd say blood on his hands, but probably more apt description would be grease in his hands or butter in his hands. Because the way that ball, whatever. If he was slightly better, if he was having a good day at goalkeeping, we might even win that 2-1. It's not the end of the world, is it? It's kind of nice to see that there's still something to these players, that they're not broken, they're flawed, heavily flawed, and that is when we're full strength as well, when we've got your Reece Jameses, your Cole Palmers, your Moises Caicedos, all these guys, even like your Malo Gustos, who's been important at times, and Liam Delap, who's looking like the starting striker, Jamie Gittins, who I think probably might come good a lot better under Rosenior. Even with all those players, this team is liable to have these sort of flawed moments, but all weekend it's kind of like, I don't want to try and be like overly positive after that, because I know it's a tough result and it's sort of uncertain, turbulent times for Chelsea, but I don't really know how to feel, to be honest. I'm kind of truly middle of the road. I think because of the available players and the available time with the coach, a draw I would have looked upon positively, because I would have known the second leg and a stronger Chelsea, we would have been better. And if we can get a draw, maybe we can beat them at the Emirates. I know it's a big ask, but again, they might have their heads elsewhere as well. Still in this eye, absolutely still in this eye. And it's interesting, but, they'll probably guess. We're gonna basically just scrutinise every game at the moment and see what Rosenia's Chelsea's made of. And if the players can come, good, and Brentford are above us in the Premier League, I think. You beat them at the weekend, please. Yeah, keep Igor Thiago quiet. The mood will be a bit better, and, we'll see what happens there. Of course, there's going to be the protests as well outside, so we'll see what happens with that and how that affects the team. Let me know what you think, though, guys. Thank you, as always, for supporting my content here on YouTube or Spotify. Please do subscribe and like on YouTube, follow and 5-star on Spotify, and I hope to see you back here very soon. Take care of yourselves. Peace.